Lorong dia bamalu karena sir nebe orasnya asisti hela programa live streaming agensia TATOLI nian ba edisang ohin maluk sira anya kar informa ba ita vocera kata ko ohin governo Timor-Leste liusi gabinete fronteira terrestre no maritima organiza Konferénsia Internasional da Rua honia tema maka Direitu Marítimu Hasoru Dezafiu no mos Direitu Marítimu no Rezolusaun Litíjiu Marítimu nebe halau ia salau nobre Ministério Fronteira Marítima atu usa lei no Konvenção Internasional sira hodi resolve sirnya disputa fronteira no rai nebe dadang na sira enfrenta maluk sira iha Konferensia Internasional nesse abertura do Presidente da República José Ramos Horta nomos Presidente Tribunal ba tasinian ka itlos juiz Thomas Ryder nebe halau iha Ministério Negócios Estrangeiros no Cooperação Dili Konferensia Internasional né iha âmbito comemoração existência gabinete fronteira terrestre no marítima ba dala sanulo neve estabelece ia tinang rihun rua sanulo resin lima liuba.
Good day, reporting you live from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation here at the Nobre Hall, where the Dili International Conference is taking place under the theme Navigating Challenges, Law of the Sea, and Maritime Dispute Settlement. To celebrate this milestone, global legal experts, diplomats, and policymakers have gathered together here. Today's agenda will be commencing with remarks by His Excellency, the President of Timor-Leste, Dr. José Ramos Horta, followed by a keynote from the guest speaker, His Honorable Judge Thomas Hayder, President of the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea.
Haluksir Konferensia Internasional ne halau durante lorong rua hahu ohin no se termina aban iha hotel JNO Dili. Konferensia Internasional ne se apresenta kona ba lei internasional sira lebe liga ho direitu marítimu tasinian. Tamane maluksir atu hatene kona ba Konferensia Internasional nebe folia assunto importante hirak ne mai asisti hamutu programa live streaming agência TATOLI nian iha Ministério Negócios Estrangeiros no Cooperação Dili.
Throughout the day, three major panels are scheduled, commencing on the recent developments in maritime boundary settlement, featuring the speakers from ITLOS, the Permanent Court of Arbitration on Top Legal Institutions, following the discussion dispute settlement in Indo-Pacific with voices from Singapore, Indonesia, and leading law firms. And in the afternoon, the closing panel will explore lessons from the Timor Sea conciliation, highlighting contributions from Timor-Leste and Australia.
Have demonstrated the power of UNCLOS and international law. Involving fishing rights, navigation, and resource extraction also continue to challenge global stability. Our relationship with the ocean is more complex than it was 50 years ago. The triple planetary crisis, climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss poses new challenges, testing the relevance of the international law of the sea. Small island nations are vulnerable to environmental threats and are once again on the forefront, seeking advisory opinions from ITLOS and the ICJ on states' obligations regarding climate change. These bold initiatives reaffirm and test the role of international law in securing a just and sustainable future for all, where the ocean is the key to prosperity and a driver of sustainable development. At this time, when international law is under threat more than ever, it is critical that we stand as one to defend the values and principles that hold the global community together. As we gather here in Dili, let this moment remind us of the strength of international law and diplomacy, ensuring a future where fairness, stability, and lasting peace prevail.
I now have the honor to invite to the stage His Excellency Dr. José Ramos Horta, President of the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, to deliver his opening remarks.
Fernanda Lai, Excellency Prime Minister, members of government, members of diplomatic corps, international guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome all to Dili and welcome to this important conference, Navigating Challenges, Law of the Sea and Maritime Dispute Settlement. We are honored to have so many international experts on the law of the sea here with us. I'm delighted to have representatives from Pacific, ASEAN, the G7 plus fragile states, the community of Portuguese-speaking countries participating in this conference. Thank you all for your attendance and your friendship. For Timor-Leste, international law is not just an abstract concept. International law is the bedrock upon which we build our independence. International law inspired us to fight for the right to vote of self-determination. International law created the United Nations, where I spent many years pacing the corridors and speaking in the General Assembly, drawing the world's attention to the resistance struggle in our small half-island state. And it was the United Nations that initiated talks with Portugal and Indonesia in the 1990s that eventually led to Indonesia's withdrawal and our people voting for independence in the historic ballot on 30 August 1999. The United Nations has been with us since the birth of our nation, and we are thankful for the contribution it has made to our development. The United Nations is one of the most critical platforms for shaping global governance. It is not, however, perfect. It continues to suffer from structural imbalances. The Security Council is dominated by a handful of nations, some of whom wield their power to obstruct meaningful reform and uphold their own strategic interests rather than global peace. Yet, despite these flaws, the United Nations and international law are vitally important in the international courts and arbitration bodies. Timor-Leste dramatically demonstrated this in the compulsory reconciliation with Australia under the auspices of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea.